Hello, hello, Cosmic fam. It is us, Mercedes, Ian, and Joe, the Cosmic Adults. We are more adult here in season two than we were in season one. We've grown, we've changed, we're bringing you new. Yeah, welcome back, all. Ian,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah, I'm happy. Like
Yeah.
season two is kicking off, and I don't think there's anybody else, or I think the guest of our show today is fitting, and it's Joe Greenland again. And guys, if you have missed our previous interviews with Joe, they're all on YouTube. They're all on different platforms. You can check out all of our interviews with Joe as well. But in this one, we're going to talk about, let's say, I would call it the act of letting go, but we can phrase it in a lot of ways. And then Joe was, before we started this pod or recording this, Joe was already channeling about letting go. And one of the, let's say, points you started with was the base chakra. Maybe you
hmm
can drive us into it more deeply.
Okay. Again, thank you for welcoming us into your home, wherever you're on the planet. The whole idea with this video is you will receive answers, angels, guides, something big, like you didn't come on for nothing. Some of these topics you can go on for days and days and days, and people are looking at healing on many spectrums, many different ways, many different ways you can be guided down this path. And everybody has a different concept, but the root chakra is basically the caveman, sex, um, a lot of things. Like it's the core, and sex is very powerful. So unwinding that, does it, like I say, control you? Because some people, they can't live without it, and they'll do anything on this world, like it doesn't matter what it is. And a lot of people want to be porn stars. I'll come into this person's life and I'll be the porn star of all porn stars, and everybody's gonna drool when they see us walk down the street or something. And it's like, it's sort of an illusion. If you look in the Bible, they've created wars over it. You look at the story around Cleopatra, how she ran this dynasty and all these things, and she was a very powerful woman, and all the men in Europe wanted to be a part of her life. And she ended up with the one guy and stuff like that. But there's other kinds of stories, and even animals kill one another when it comes to mating season. They just go nuts too, because they want to procreate, they want to breed, they want to bring the next generation in. And even fish, like salmon, will spawn upriver after spending years in the ocean. They'll go upriver and they'll spawn that one lifetime, and then that's it. And it's so powerful, they will do it and then die, and all these other things. So the root chakra is, most people don't look at it. The churches created so many illusions, and shame is the biggest one. When you go to root chakra, anything to do with shame, man, I'm gonna hide it. Ain't nobody gonna see. But then people have Reiki and they're like, ooh, I'm gonna open this person's base chakra and look around and see things and this and that. And so there are people that can see, and it's like, eventually somewhere in your life you're going to get to a point and you're not going to be shamed, and then you're going to go, okay, I'm just going to be open about this. And the more open you are, the more your base chakra is going to open, and there's things that are in there that are going to come up. So you're going to attract different people, different things, to see if you still want to go in those directions, because you've experienced it and you know what it can do for you. It's like, do I need to do this anymore? But there's also angers and rage and different things, because when you're a teenager and you first had that first boyfriend, girlfriend, and this experience, like, oh, this is the one for the rest of my life, and you break up and you go into hate and you fight and this and that, and you do all kinds of silly things. Then you meet the next one, it's like, oh yeah, oh, this is my garden, I'm in heaven forever. And then that shit goes and it's just like layers upon layers. And and you never stop to look at these scars. You never look at these things because parents don't teach us, the schools don't teach us, the churches tell, well, you can't do this, right? There's all these different things, and we got to create change, you know, and there's certain things that go on in life, and like I say, it makes us different in different ways. But it's like, what is the core essence and the truth? And you also have to fit the sacral in there because sacral is something we use every lifetime. In the sacral, there's a lot of truth of who you are and what you're creating, what you're attracting in this life. And if you're going on the old paradigm, then you're staying stuck in the lower 3D, and that's the solar plex, the sacral, and the base chakra. And these three have lots of powerful dynamics that make you the human being. At some point, you realize that you want to lift and go higher. So, opening those two base chakras right now, Mars is doing everything in Gemini to use knowledge, awareness, and that to go and sit in those two lower chakras and see what it is you need to unwind and release. Because if you're really desiring that and it's a truth, you're going to find a lot of people and things and stuff disappearing. But it's like, now what do I want to bring in that's going to replace that old dynamic?
I actually love that you bring in Mars right now because Mars is retrograde, and I think there isn't really a better time to cut off things from your life. Let's say if you manage to understand, oh, maybe this isn't working, maybe this relationship isn't working, or maybe this dynamic isn't working in your life, Mars retrograde is a really good time to cleanly, maybe sometimes very directly even, to cut off whatever it is that is not serving you. And all of these primal desires or primal energies that we still carry with each other, this is also Martian energy. So it's I think it's fitting, and it's a good time to limit or cut off these things from our lives.
You look at color factor, Mars is red, right? And base chakra is red. Mars is war, but Mars is also peace. Because after a war, Mars helps us to rebuild in that. The generals can all sit back and go, yes, we did good, yay, we won. And then you restructure everything. So sometimes you have to let that warrior, that Mars, it's like, okay, this relationship doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and just be absolutely honest and truthful with yourself and with everything around you. And it's really owning who you are, because that's what Mars wants you to do. After a big war and all the chaotic, you either have wounds or you've grown and evolved. And in Mars, it's like taking a piece of rock that has iron in it and heating it and heating it and heating it. That iron will melt out of the rock. You'll remove all the rock in that, and then you pour it and you'll have a piece of iron. And it's going through that phase and through a lot of dynamics. There's different kinds of things coming in to assist us.
Okay, so I feel like throughout our lifetime, there's been like in with this, like there are strong influences, such as like you mentioned the church, things like this that told us, okay, you have to get married to one person, or in other cultures, they'll say multiple people, whatever. And you make vows to this person. So now, even though things are bad, if things are bad, you've made these vows. So what would you say to someone who's like potentially in a marriage or something like this that isn't going well?
The one thing with the universe is we never make promises in this lifetime or any other lifetime, because when we do that, we're going to create an energy that will carry into the future. And nowhere in creation since the beginning of man walking on this planet that God ever said you need to make vows. It was something the church has realized, if they put it in there and you made a promise to God, you would never break it. And they try to make women believe, oh, you have to be this, oh, you have to be that. And soon as they make this vow and they've been blessed and put that ring on, then now you have to destroy yourself trying to create this illusion. And this is where even people, when they come together and make all these little promises and that, they start making promises, and it's really, really hard to just release things. Everything is some sort of a dynamic. You look at magnets, there's a positive and negative, and if you put the positive and negative, it'll pull together. But if you put positive and positive, no matter what you try to do, it's going to push apart. There's a dynamic. Same with negative. You put negative, negative, it's going to push apart. It will not come together. It's like soul partner, twin flame. That's like saying negative, negative, positive, positive, and you're just fighting, trying to push this reality, and you want to flip it around and just let it come together. And
I,
this
I,
is where they use the
I,
idea, making promises.
I believe the word is repel.
Mhm.
You're actually repelling someone, but because you've made this commitment or whatever, you've made this promise, you're willing to destroy yourself. Like that's a lot of times that's the only reason I stayed in a relationship or in a commitment was because I had of the commitment itself, not because I was happy.
Yeah. And this is where inside you there's something, but you got to factor in dynamics from mom and dad too, because when they came together and you decided to come in the world, you took a little bit of dad's energy and you took a little bit of energy of mom. And inside you, you're playing some of that out too. You're trying to heal some of these distortions and things around you, their beliefs that you didn't realize you brought in. And when you started growing inside mom and dad's around and their thoughts and their feelings and that, somewhere you absorbed a little bit of that. And that's where we try to figure out who we are and why sometimes we get drawn into all kinds of different things, because maybe dad was really big into that at the beginning and mom was really big, and that vibration so powerful, and you grow up and you're like, why the hell am I getting drawn into this? Somewhere inside it's not something you like or you enjoy, but still you're always pulled into it and you're like, what the hell, why is this happening? And this is where even beliefs and that is instilled or programmed into us as a child, and we want to make everything around us happy. So if there's a belief there, we are going to do everything in a way to make everybody like us, even though it's a wrong thing.
you, you want me to go. So basically, I just want to get your kind of, because you see a lot of into the future and you're very in tune with the energy that are flowing currently in our, let's say, on our planet and our Earth and our society. Would you, let's say, shed light on a little bit of what is going on? Why are maybe more people in these dynamics? They feel like they need to let go of things. They they are maybe suffering a little bit more. They are in hard places, and in my mind, obviously, it's showing a lot of people that they need to move on. They need to let go of. But can you, as a person who sees these things in a very big picture kind of way, can you shed a little light of why this might be happening?
The spirit wants to evolve. The spirit knows why it came here, but everything on the planet is trying to say you're wrong. And people don't understand the fourth, fifth, sixth dimension. It's not here yet, so anybody can't say, oh, this is what it is. And the spirit is doing everything to evolve. It's like, I've spent 250,000 lifetimes to get to this point. I don't want to do it anymore. But there's certain dynamics in that, and the churches and governments and that, they have known this, and they know different ways to manipulate everybody. And every time you're just about ready to see through that crack, something comes up and pulls you in this direction. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, but I was right here and I was just about ready to change something. And this is where they always say whatever is above is below. And it's basically the chakras. There are three chakras up here that's connected to the universe, the future, and everything. It's love, it's all from the heart. But there's three lower chakras that are below that are saying, no, 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 there's candy, there's things here. And your soul is saying, I'm tired. I want to find the right teacher. I want to find the right energy. Astrology is revealing these things. If you really understand the planets and everything that's going on, and you really understand the age of Aquarius, You're just going to step into it. You're not going to resist. You're going to go into this and you're going to allow. It's like getting on one of the Star Trek ships and saying, okay, hit Mach, whatever, and you're just racing through the cosmos. And this is where there's so much kinds of knowledge. And if you can see it from the different aspects, and even seeing it as fractals or seeing it as different facets of a jewel, maybe you're an emerald, maybe you're a diamond, maybe you're a ruby. There's different facets that make them that. There's different densities and colors and beauty all about it, but there's an energy you also generate. And the whole world, the churches have been trying to seal us in a way, creating shame and fear. So we will suppress our soul. Like they told us, we can't be Jesus. He was innocent. He was God. Nobody can be him. So even if you think, well, I am Jesus, and he says in the Bible, he says, if you understand me, you will do works like me or more than me. His own words. So he's saying you can either be him or more. But we have this fear, and our souls are saying, come on, let's be this. And soon as you do that, your energy is going out. It's triggering your mom's fears. It's triggering your dad's fears. It's triggering your friends' fears. It's triggering your neighbor's fears. And all their energies are, and all of a sudden you're getting claustrophobic. And when you drop in to that space, they're all like, okay, now we're okay. The lid hasn't come off the pressure cooker. And whenever you heal and grow in the spiritual light, your soul is doing this. It's going to change everybody. I've been teaching this to Mercedes for over a year. I'm like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because you're seeing people and things changing. At first, they'll really attack you. Next thing, they're coming with a little bouquet of flowers, and they're just like, oh, just in love with you. Next thing, they're like a big bat coming after you again. One minute they feel really good and safe. Next minute it's like, ooh, you're doing something. We got to stop you. Like, why can't you just fit in? Why don't you just come put on a dress or a suit and just sit in the church and just be really nice? Play with us. Don't play on the outside of the church. We need you in here to feel safe. And you're trying to let your soul become this bigness, and using astrology, numerology, using many, many other kinds of factors, using science, which is now starting to prove all these things. There's lots of scientists. There's really good scientists like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Barbara Brennan, Joe Dispenza, and that are proving all these things. They're removing all the barriers to spirituality. They're bringing in the mathematics, they're bringing in the science, they're bringing in all these different concepts, and they're looking around the world and they're seeing which pieces fit together, and they're practicing in many, many ways. So if you do something, you're going to go in, you're going to have an outcome, you're going to come back, and every time you do it, you're going to have this, and you're going to know it. You're going to be able to open all the doors, get there, have this experience, and come back. But is everybody in your life and around you in agreement? Because they're in their base chakra. They're like, no, we're partying, man. The party's on.
I feel like you hear a lot about this in spiritual communities where people are like having to let go of their families because they're not.
It's like now you go to these singing bowls, you go to all these new things now, the new age are mixing Reiki and singing bowls and toning and that. And everybody is going there and they're doing this. Then afterwards they're all drinking. So they just brought their energy really, really high. Now they drank, they just went right back down. Now they're like, okay, let's run off. I'm really high. Let's party. Let's have orgies. Let's do all this stuff. Let's, believe we're gurus and we're masters, and let's bring a group of people together and generate this energy again. And it's just cycling in the 3 lower chakras. It's not going into the heart, and it's not going any higher. And people, the world is doing this really, really faster and faster. Now there's a new light language. and people are doing this, and I'm like, what the hell has happened? Did you put an electric probe inside yourself and somebody's zapping you and you're, I'm telling you, like language from another alien planet? No, what are they doing?
Okay. So I think one of the things that I've noticed is one of the big things, because you're on TikTok doing TikTok lives and things, and you often mention like Reiki and letting go of Reiki, letting go of these things. Like I think, okay, so yes, you have to let go of oftentimes your, oh, sorry, my Siri is like, why is my Siri going? A lot of times people have to let go of their families, they have to let go of different things, but they also have to let go of these spiritual practices that maybe aren't serving them, that maybe they invited in when they were in their like solar plexus or whatever, so that they can move up to the heart and go into these maybe more universal things rather than something some guy brought in on this planet to teach,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. And that's a really, really big one, because if you really reveal the truth about Reiki, all of a sudden you're taking away a person's power. You're taking away their belief system. You're decloaking them and you're bringing them down. The first thing they're going to want to do is destroy you. The first thing they're going to want to do is attack you. They're going to go everywhere and they're going to say anything and everything, and your businesses in your lives. I mean, I've had this done to me with elders in the past where I would just do what the universe wanted me to do. And these elders got pissed off, and there's over 20 elders, and they had natives and people everywhere coming. And my life went absolutely crazy for about 4 years. Anything and everything I did, people were just attacking me and cursing me and calling me names. And I'm like, what did I ever do to you? And these elders were connected to a lot of other people who were spiritual and gifted. And these people used their gifts and spirituality and they ganged up on me, and I wouldn't back down. I'm like, I'm connected to the creator. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. If you got a problem with me, take it to the creator. And the creator will say something or change me or whatever. But if this is truly from the creator, I'm just going to keep doing it, because I'm not trying to disempower or do anything to anybody. And I wasn't going around trying to say, oh, bad elder, this and that or anything. I would go to their ceremonies and I'd be a part of things, but they literally destroyed my life for over 4 years. I thought I was going to go insane and everything because I was getting cursed. People would come up to me on the streets and try to spit on me. Some people would try to want to beat me up, and I'm like, just leave me alone. I haven't done anything to anybody. And this is where if you do that and you disempower people, especially people into yoga and that they're trying to force their energy up and make themselves into God syndrome or Jesus or something, they will go out and they'll find many, many things and they'll come after you and they will literally do everything. And you have to go in here. It's like today I spoke about a belief I believe that's going to happen. And it's my belief, and I will say it and I will express it till the day I die, because I believe I'm going to see this. And everybody on the planet could say I'm Looney Tunes or I this or I'm that. But one day I know when it is seen, everybody go, oh, he was right. But I cannot prove that. And that's where I just come on inside and I'm like, okay, let me go in there. Let me learn to honor dreams. Let me learn to honor all kinds of things. And that's what I love about astrology, because when you really understand it, you can see how every planet is trying to help you, but it also reveals all the weaknesses. It reveals this and that. Nothing is really hidden. And there's so many things. And I've been looking at astrology for over 30 years. And I've gone really deep, where I was so deep in astrology, I would look at a person and I could tell you everything about them without even them telling me their birth date or anything. And everything I would say would be accurate about their planets, about their life, about their chart, about their family, everything. And I didn't try to do that. Just something in the universe made it happen.
That is pretty awesome. But I want to touch upon one thing that I think let's say, weaving together some bigger themes here that we're talking about. It seems like a lot of the, let's say, spirituality nowadays it's almost like moving through the base chakra. It's almost like very aggressive. It's like wanting power to control people or have power to control others, to have more influence on it. But what I think I'm hearing from you, and I think I'm maybe hearing from some other people as well nowadays, is it should be almost like moving through the other chakras or the heart chakra and moving into the place of, okay, I have these gifts and powers, and but I can use them not to have control over others, but I can actually use these powers, which can be thought of as a good thing, to help others and to maybe help them see their gifts and abilities. Is that maybe the bigger theme here that we should be focusing on?
Yes, it always comes back to knowledge, because when you don't have knowledge about something, you're going to make all kinds of mistakes. That's part of reality. It's like you want to be a carpenter and there's certain kinds of things you don't know, and you go in there, say you're just a framer, that's all you are. And you go around, you tell everybody you're a carpenter. Well, you're a framer. You cut boards, you nail them together, you stand walls, you put some plywood, you put some windows and doors, and then you walk away. You don't know anything about beyond the framing. All you know how to do is take a nail gun and nail all these things together, and you have the frame. That's all a framer does, is put up the structure. And maybe there's something new that needs to be incorporated and he doesn't have any idea or knowledge how to do it. Then he needs to learn something new, and he's got to get the knowledge to be able to do it. Like there's one thing, while I was working in Invermere, and we were working up in Panorama, and we're building this house for a guy who owns part of Telus or something like that. And we're building this massive, 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 like giant mansion way up on the side of this mountain. And it's 3 levels. And he's putting a totem pole inside this thing, like he's getting a totem pole, and we're framing up this. And I'm like, he's got to get it done before we put the roof on. This is my idea, because once we put it on, the roof is there. So you ain't getting this totem pole in, and it's going right where the stairwells. And we put this really neat grand entrance stairway that wraps around. As you're walking up, you're looking at this totem pole and you're coming up to the top. And I'm like, okay, like, how are we doing? Because in my mind, because I'm like, if we are not, nailing it down, he's either leaving the roof off, or we're going to design it in a way where they lift out the roof. And we actually designed it to lift the roof out. So we built everything in, and we did it in such a way that all they had to do is bring in the crane, lift off the whole roof, drop in the totem, put back the roof on. And I'd never done it before. I didn't know how we were going to do this, but in my mind, I was like trying to figure this out, right? And this guy, and I'm like, how are we going to do this? He said, just wait, watch, you'll see, right? And he's not telling me. And in my mind, like, I'm trying to figure it all out because I want to know it. And when we did it, I was like, whoa, that is just freaking awesome. And we just carried on building everything. And eventually the totem came, they put it in, they lifted the roof off, put it in and put it back on. And it was like, this is where knowledge is so important. And you have a lot of knowledge, Ian, you also, Mercedes. There's a lot of knowledge there. And with that knowledge, you want everybody to feel safe. Somewhere at the right time, you're going to help them to understand that they can do that and lift the roof off, instill something or let something out, and re-put the roof back on and not worry about it. And this is really, really beautiful because you can do it in many, many different ways. And people are trying to now, like I say, let their soul activate. But when they do, are they afraid their family's going to turn on them? The world's going to turn on them? If they're Oriental, is all the Buddhists since the beginning of time all going to turn on them? And it's like, can you really step in and just fulfill what your soul wants to be? Because you need to have people around you that can support you. You need somebody there that can already stand inside themselves and say, this is who I am and this is my truth and I'm speaking it. And if you take offense and you don't think it's right or you don't believe in it, that's fine. But I'm going to keep speaking my truth. One day we'll look back on it, and if it is right, you're going to realize, but I want everybody else to feel safe in that way too. So I want to give you the right tools at the right time. I want to support you. I want to pray for you. I want to believe you are going to realize and release yourself from your shackles, which are your 3 lower chakras, and you're going to go. And when you're there, you're going to see people around you and like, I'm doing it for that person, that person, that person. And it's just going to bring the light into the planet and it's going to transform everything. But each person has to want to really be in that truth. But it's the lower chakras, and it's like, what is it you're seeking? Because children now are being born, they have pretty well nothing in their 3 lower chakras. They're already aware of the future. They already know what's going to go on. They know their purpose of why they came to this planet and everything. They see into the future. They can go way into the future. They know the kinds of things that are going to be created, all the new inventions, what the earth is literally going to look like and what people are going to be. And they have absolutely no fear of it. And people are trying to force them to hold on to an old belief. Be a Buddhist, be a preacher, be this, be a yogi, be a guru. And like, I don't understand that. I'm just this energy and light, and that's all I can be. And I'm going to be in the future, and everything I tell you is going to be real. So they're already downloading everything. They're walking computers connected into the universe.
Is this why when anyone would ask me when I was a kid, like what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would be like, I don't know. Because it wasn't invented yet.
Exactly. And
like
there's
we didn't
things,
have podcasts or anything like that back then. Like, how would I know that this would be what it would be?
but there's something you brought in and hit you. Like we were talking earlier in our meditation group about when we come in, we place an energy in one of our chakras. And this is where it's already inside, and they know it's in the DNA. They know it's inside us already, and they're trying to figure out and find out what this is. And they want to get this. They want to be able to take all of this and use it and just give it to who they want. And this is where Jesus, and it says in the Bible, God is going to give the planet to the children of Israel, not to the Jews, not to the people that live in the Middle East and Israel. It is from a world way out, because Jesus says, I came from out there. I came from Jerusalem. And it's a galaxy and a world. And there's a DNA that came from there to this earth. And there are people all around the world that are carrying this. And they are the children of Israel. They're going to activate this. When they do, it's going to change a whole planet. And it's already inside us. So the journey is to go inside us to see where this energy is and let it to become exactly what it's meant to be. And this is why we know things. This is why throughout our life, well, I had this ability, that gift, and that. And it was somewhere hidden in me and I didn't understand it. But when you're finally in that sacred temple and you open it, you're going to understand everything. And you're just going to follow and do the things you're meant to. I know Ian's waking it up.
That blew me, yeah, quite, let's say, high up. I would say what you just said.
Do we just need a second to digest here?
Exactly. That's very often what I feel with Joe when he goes into these very big things and there's like whoosh, and it's almost like a force of nature of like waves coming like, and then he stops and then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh, okay, let me absorb this thing. But you said about, you know, me kind of doing my thing and waking up to these things. I would say the last couple of months I would have been one of the biggest kind of awakenings that I've experienced on this planet, and I wouldn't say it's easy at all. So maybe I don't want to paint a picture of it being super kind of like rainbows and unicorns only, and it's all magical. There are magical moments, I would say, great magical moments, but there's also kind of like, again, I would say the theme today has been like the lower chakras, and a lot of it is like cleaning out or clearing out the lower chakras, the maybe darker desires or something along those lines. I hope Joe is just a little bit frozen. I hope he comes back. But it's a bit difficult to handle and navigate. And I think when you have these people around you that, like Joe, for example, who have gone through these, and I would put myself and Mercedes into that bracket as well, it's much easier to navigate, because otherwise you're alone there, and it's kind of like wild, and maybe you start to think that I'm crazy or kind of losing it because nobody else around me is doing things or feeling these things or experiencing these things. But at least now I have some people, maybe a small minority percentage of people around me who I can turn to, who I can ask important questions, even like important questions like, is this normal? For example, I'll just share quickly what it was, because it's still happening to this day, but it started happening really intensely. These types of energetic waves started coming through my body, just when I was waking up, when I was working, when I was writing, when I was speaking, when I was doing, normal with my son, with my fiance, these normal everyday things, these big energetic waves constantly started coming. And at first I was kind of like, what is this? And it was so big and it was so vast, and something I hadn't experienced, like, let's say, in my awakened life. It was so new, and it was so strange, and it took a while to actually handle it. And I think a lot of the people who are tuning into this podcast might be also, let's say, experiencing these types of awakenings, and then you go into your, let's say, normal lives, or family lives, or working lives, and all of these things don't seem, let's say, so awesome anymore, or normal anymore, or even that you don't want to really be in these areas anymore. And it is something, we need to, how do I put this, we need to basically to sometimes do together. Alone is good, but doing together is also important, because otherwise, again, these same themes come up. Am I going crazy? What is this? I don't know. I haven't experienced this. But the point I'm making, guys, is if there's something happening to you that is awakening you from this slumber, and there's a lot to let go of, and there's a lot happening all at once, reach out, listen to our podcast, watch our videos. There's a lot of helpful stuff, so you don't feel so alone in your letting go or in your awakening cycle.
Mhm. Yeah, this is where we all want love, and there's an illusion around it when we're a child. Like, while we're maybe anywhere from about 2 years old till maybe about 6 or 7, we're very selfish. You watch a child, everything is about them, about them, about them. It's like me, this and that. It's how they'll even claim people. If somebody comes to visit and they like the person, they want that person's attention. They don't give a shit about nobody else. And all they know is they love themselves and they're important. And they are this way. And then at some place, it's like one day they sort of go into this thought, well, maybe mommy doesn't love me, daddy doesn't love me, or this and that. And then we start trying to get people to love us. And we disconnect this energy And then we start trying to find friends and people and that. And we start trying to find a way to make everybody happy so they can love us. So we feel good, we feel safe, and all these other things. But it's actually an illusion. Like I say, if your parents really understood and taught you these things at an early age, you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have stepped away. You wouldn't have gone into things and chased it. My granddad did a lot of things, but he stopped at certain points because he knew if he crossed certain barriers, then it would interfere with my path and growth. He wanted to give me all the knowledge, but he just encouraged me that I would find this and seek people out, always ask questions, always, do whatever it is, but learning was really, really important. So I spent a lot of time doing that in my community. People are afraid of me. And like I say, it was very, very challenging. And it's like, I didn't want to make anybody like me. It's like, if you can't like me for who I am, then I am not going to try to make you love me and like me. Even today, I'll do that. I'll piss people off sometimes intentionally, just see how they react. And I'm like, okay, just let this go on. Not worried, not concerned.
Never happens. No, I'm just
And
kidding.
even Cindy, like, I love when she goes like this to me. And I'm like, right on. This is Cindy in the role.
For those that don't know, Cindy is Joe's partner.
And so after a while, she'll find something inside. Like one morning we're sitting there, she says, I really appreciate you in my life. I really appreciate this and that. And she realized the love that was there wasn't something I created. It wasn't an illusion. It wasn't anything. It was just real. And I'm like, right from the beginning, our relationship, I'm like, if you ever felt you found somebody or met somebody you believe that was more than me and it was over with us, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to want to see you happy, and I'll be the friend for your rest of your life. And anytime you need my help, I will help you. And I wouldn't just turn on her and go, oh yeah, you just use me, and oh, poor me, and all this other stuff, or try to make her feel really bad and stay in the relationship. But like, fuck yeah, go and have fun. I'm not going to stop you. And so I've always tried to allow her to have permission. I've always said, okay, the knowledge when you have it, because at some point she's going to go inside. And whatever she becomes in that moment, I'm going to be okay with it. Wherever she's going to go, whatever direction, whatever she plans to do or is supposed to do on this planet, I'm not interfering. I'm going to bless her and support her. And this is where, like I say, there's things inside us when it comes, and I just know I'll be there, and it's for anybody. Like when somebody comes into my life, I don't say a lot of things. I'm very quiet, and I know who's going to be in my future and who's not, and I know who's being tested to really make those decisions. So that trying to get somebody to love you is not real. It's like when you meet somebody, what is it you love about them? Why were you attracted? Can you see that in them from the day you met them until the very last breath you're together? Can you see them in that beautiful way? Or in 6 months, you're going to discover and go, oh, I don't like you. And then as you go down the road, you find more things not to like. But what was the most beautiful thing that made you feel you believe that you need to be in this person's life or whatever, that's really love? Because something brought you together. But sometimes there's factors like past lives and that. Maybe you were married in another lifetime and your souls are recognizing that. And you're just like, oh, I've known you forever. Let's get married. Get married and everything. Next thing, you're sitting in a garbage dump. He's on one side of the garbage dump, you're on the other, throwing tin cans and that at one another.
Setting things on fire.
Yeah. And there's, and it's like, we shouldn't have got married. We should have just been friends. We should have just got to know one another and carried this into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people destroy it, and they divide themselves with garbage dumps. But if they remove that garbage dump and they come back in and find what that beauty is, some of it you're going to realize you're friends forever. It's like you never have to make anybody a friend. There's a couple of people in my life, like when I first moved here over 30 years ago, I met this person. We're still friends. I don't know how and why, but we're still friends. And I'm like, she's the only one that's been there right from the beginning. And I'm like, this is so strange. I go back to my hometown or think about things. There's two people out of my life that I believe are still friends there. I will know one day when I go back there if it's real or not, but there's this energy, and distance, time, anything doesn't erode it. Even if you were to fight with one another, eventually that fight and energy is going to be gone, and that beautiful energy is there, and you're always going to see it. And it's like taking a diamond, and you know it's a diamond, and you put it on a polisher. You don't really know what you're doing, but over a long period of time, you're going to have the most beautiful polished diamond. And that's what two people do in all these ways. But there's no way you can create that love or that truth in it. So all you can do is be your real self to your parents and the whole world.
I think everyone out there who's listening to this is probably, I mean, I know I'm thinking of certain people in my life that are like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, it does seem like there's a process there of like, I would say maybe like remembering who you are.
And one of the things is when we're a child, we want to make a decision that we're right. Our parents, everybody around us, were trying to help us. We couldn't see what we're manifesting, what we're getting in, what we're attracting. Our parents did it all before us, so they know exactly what we're doing. They were never stupid, and they're trying to find a way to help us not to get hurt. And they're trying to interfere, and they're trying to do things to keep us very safe because they really love us. And sometimes they're the worst antagonists. And so, like I say, sometimes inside us, there's this little child with a sledgehammer. He's got Thor's hammer, and you better watch out because when he uses Thor's hammer, get out of the way. And we have that little rebel child that sits in the corner with this big hammer and say, watch out because I'm going to smash everything. And sometimes it wants to still prove everything. And God will bring in teachers, he'll bring all kinds of really good people in. But it's so in that stubbornness that it just keeps trying to smash things. And really good people leave your life. I have left so many people's lives over the years, and some of them are still shaking their heads like, what did I do? But they won't look at that little kid with the big giant sledgehammer going, but I know everything and you're going to agree with me or this and that. It's like I only do so much. And then when the universe says, okay, close the doors, and this is where everything, and when I leave, all the knowledge, everything they have gained, it all gets released. It all goes away, and they're confused. But then they'll blame me instead of going, well, what did I do? And I'm like, I have done everything I can up to this point. Now I know I just need to close that door and move on. And maybe in the future, that door is going to open and it's going to become something really beautiful. But do they create a garbage dump between me and them? And I'm like, that's theirs. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to keep moving in the direction being me. And I always say I got a really big mouth. So God, angels, spirits, there's something on this earth or the light or something that needs to be challenged, channeled and said, I'm going to say it. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks.
I think I think that's also a really good way of to let go of things, not to care a lot about what other people think. It's much easier. It's much easier to let go of anything, be it work or be it relationship or be it ways of being, if you don't care about things or if you don't care about what people think about you. And I think it's a really big issue of why people even stay in relationships is or anything is that, oh my god, if I leave this or move into another country or do a change in my career, what do this people think about me? But if you can be like Joe and not give a shit about what other people think about you, I think it will be easier for you to do.
So the one thing I want to bring up, maybe this can sort of bring us to how to like the end of the call or the interview is like all these things we're talking about. It seems like the common theme is that there is some kind of driving force inside of you, giving you these directions, giving you the will, the need, the desire to go forward, to let go, to grow more or whatever that is. Can you maybe touch on what that is or what you know that to be?
Yeah, so part of the whole thing is to look at everybody as a diamond in the rough. an emerald, a ruby, something beautiful and precious. You don't want to step on it and break it. You don't want to shatter it into billions of pieces that you can't put back together. And when children come into the world, there are these beautiful diamonds in the rough. The parents don't realize, well, parents brought them in. Oh, yeah, this child's going to be the greatest hockey player on the planet. Oh, that one's going to be a basketball player. She's going to be a ballerina. And they got this distorted, concepts and things, right?
The one thing I hear a lot of is like, I want a mini me.
Yeah.
You want more of you in the world?
And another thing is when they say they want a mini me is whatever they didn't accomplish in life and they feel they failed, they want you to become. So if they wanted to be a doctor, they slowly try to make you believe you this and that, and they try to, do this thing. And they're basically stepping on the diamond. They're slowly breaking and shattering pieces. And this diamond is trying to hold itself together. It's very beautiful and precious. So when we're born, I was talking earlier about how we bring in an energy and we place it somewhere in one of our chakras, in our energy fields. And every now and then we step in and out of it. When we're children, we stepped in and out of it really, really lots for the first about 12 years of our life. We've opened up gifts and abilities that we took into our future with us. And there's that part of us that knows there's something it needs to find, or it needs people, or it needs to understand certain knowledge. So when you do have this, then you start opening that part of yourself inside. And like I say, I carry something in my heart that I've been carrying since I was a very small little boy. And I know nothing on this earth can take it. And I know it's between me and God. And I brought it in from like I say, within my birth, and I carry it in my heart. And one day, whatever that is, it's going to be a part of the world. And I am seeking that. I'm seeking a way of, at the right time, bringing it out so everybody else can do the same. But that energy that's inside, that's your child spirit, your ego, and it knows who you are, and it hid that part until it knows it's safe, and then it's going to allow you to become that. But it's trying to understand through all these confusions, because you took a little bit of your mom's energy, you took a little bit of your dad's energy, because even when you're procreated in that moment and they both ejaculate and all of a sudden there you are coming into the world, at that moment there's many, many energies and thought aspects that are coming into you that you need to clear and look at and understand. And this is where there's a lot of factors, and realizing everybody is some sort of beautiful, precious gem, and how to help them to realize they can polish themselves, remove all of that roughness on the outside, to stop fearing and believing you got to be a warrior or be tough, or you have to have a distorted image of something. Just being that beautiful individual in here and speaking your truth and holding space for somebody that they feel safe, that they can have that knowledge and transform themselves too.
Boom.
I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good place to wrap this up. So, guys, yeah, allow people to be who they are. I would say is a big one here, and do your best to let go of distortions of who you think they should be. I think that's an important part, and who you maybe think you should be because of something somebody said somewhere, made you believe, and open up new avenues of I would say thinking about and feeling about and about yourself, and even allowing new information in about yourself. That's what I would
Yeah,
say.
we're also with astrology, like explore astrology, explore different kinds of concepts. Buddha said it the best. He says, for everybody, there's 1,000 paths to nirvana or the universe or enlightenment or whatever. He says, if you've tried 500 and it hasn't worked, then try 501, because that might put it all together. And then you'll just see your path. But you had to go all these places to experience with people, to finish up past life karma, to heal your parents, yourself, and other things, to step on that one path that's just your future, where you open up that soul and bless yourself in the world.
Mm-hmm. I think we want to remember too, there's a bigger picture to it.
Mhm.
It's not just you in your little spacesuit walking around on this planet. There's so much, way more than that, that's important.
Mhm.
So walk around in your spacesuit, but learn, grow,
Exactly.
experience. Okay, do you want to end with a prayer, Joe? Do you feel like that's
Yeah, if you guys want that.
Yeah,
I can
let's
bring
do it.
my lighter.
Well, that's all right, because look at what I've got. Don't need lightning.
So yeah, on all of that is trying to understand you, because everybody wants to make you into something they want you, so they are happy playing the game. And it's like, well, who do I just want to really be happy with? Because if you're a diamond and you're polishing yourself and you're starting to discover all these different facets, it's like, okay, what can we bring in? What can we have go on? What can we now share with the world? And how do I hold space for others? How do I allow all these different things and truths to just become me? And how do I just sit in my energy and light, and no matter what anything is on this planet, this is just who I am. Because some people are ancient souls and their souls are native. Some people are ancient souls and they're Tibetans. Some people are ancient souls and they're yogis. And they're trying to figure that out. And maybe they're in England and they're talking like the Queen or something. But inside them, they're trying to be this Indian and go, woo, and they're trying to send smoke into the universe, or they're being yogis and but they're like, but I'm the Queen, So what is on the outside sometimes doesn't reflect what is the soul on the inside either. So like I say, it's a very, very beautiful thing when you start looking at all the facets and start enjoying and playing with them, because a child spirit is very playful, very, very loving, very, very kind and beautiful when you let that intelligence come through. So we're just going to ask the universe to come on in, Great Spirit, Creator, God, whoever it is you believe in. And we ask that you understand about the chakras and unwinding your own, what it is you need to release and let go. As you release it, you're going to ask to replace it with all the new people, new things, new joys, new happiness. Even your identity is going to be new. The real you, whatever it is your child spirit wants to show the world. And look at the shame, look at these things in the teachings and the growing, in the ancestral beliefs, and just be okay with that, because it will transform. When you understand that, ask to learn how to walk this energy from your base chakra up your spine gently through each chakra, the front and back of each one, and just keep carrying it until you can get it to your crown chakra. And like cement, anchor it there in the sacred temple of God, and allow yourself to be that bigger being. Don't get so caught up in chasing yoga and tantra and breathing and other things, trying to force to wake the sleeping dragon or whatever other people projected on you. Just allow yourself just to activate this and let it really create you in that most amazing thing. Instead of fighting with Mars, work with it. Mars will be out at Gemini March 15th. And if you really are working with Mars, with the warring Mars, with the blessing Mars, by the time this releases, your business, your life, and everything will be really good. And you'll see you have moved out of these chakras, and you're going to start understanding and finding what truly is you. And I ask that for all of you.
Hey, nice. Well, thanks so much, Joe, for being here, for sharing your Gemini vocal cords with the world.
Yeah, tremendously appreciative of your time and your energy, Joe. And I would just like to leave the audience or the people also with a question. It's like, if you're in these maybe situations and moments that where you're considering or contemplating of, should I, let go of this, or should I move in this direction, or should I just leave this all behind? It's like, One question I usually like to ask, like, who am I doing this for? Or even for what or who am I doing this for? And that question, it doesn't have to reveal, immediately. Just let it sit for a while. Sometimes it gives you the answers immediately. But it's a powerful question, because we very often, the fast pace of our society and modern life doesn't leave much freedom to contemplate these things, to even ask these things. So we're running on autopilot much of the day. But if you even ask 5 minutes, 1 minute, even if you take that and ask that question, I think it will reveal a lot to you, and will make it easier for you to make these, I would say, difficult decisions at times. Yeah.
Very true, Ian. Thanks for that.
So guys, Cosmic Adults and Joe Greenland out for this episode, but we will be here soon again. Thank you
Yeah,
for
have a
watching,
beautiful week.
listening. Have a beautiful week.
Mhm.